Hello and welcome to No Longer Silent 2020. I'm Dan Keller.
And I'm Chris Keller.
We're so excited to present the premiere of a powerful short film titled No Longer Silent, Gladys Journey. This film gives an inside look at ChildVoice's latest work in Uganda and Nigeria. It includes footage from the Lukome Center and the Imvepi refugee settlement, interviews with staff in Uganda, and a special segment following the life and progress of one of their students, Gladys.
For those of you who may not know, ChildVoice is a charitable organization dedicated to restoring the voices of children silenced by war.
That means that they work with children and adolescents who have been traumatized by war and conflict. Most of the young people have been displaced. Many are child mothers. Many have suffered from sexual exploitation, human trafficking, and have even witnessed the killing of their families and the destruction of their homes. Some are so traumatized, they've literally lost the ability to speak.
ChildVoice provides vitally needed psychosocial counseling and skills training to help these marginalized young women recover, heal, and build healthy new lives for themselves and their families.
Right. So we're here with you tonight to help raise awareness and support for ChildVoice's incredibly important work through this film. We're also going to be hearing from some wonderful people who are involved with ChildVoice.
And by the way, throughout the presentation, you'll see a number appear at the bottom of your screen. You can text Gladys to that number at any time to make a donation.
Let's tell our viewers a little bit about why we're so excited about this organization. Before traveling to Uganda ourselves, we had been involved in other mission work. So when we heard about the opportunity to see ChildVoice's program firsthand and meet new friends across the world, we quickly said yes. Do you remember all the rain on our first trip, Chris?
Yes, and the roads. Those were the muddiest roads I've ever experienced. I wondered, what in the world have we gotten ourselves into? That was all I could think about until we drove into the gates of ChildVoice's Lukome Center, where we were greeted with shouts, clapping, smiles, and the most exuberant welcome ever by the students. And these are girls who had been through unspeakable trauma.
Our commitment to ChildVoice was confirmed after seeing how they invest in each girl to train and educate them so that they can support themselves and their children. We saw them learning to sew on treadle sewing machines, use knitting machines, create beautiful hairstyles, and practice catering and hospitality as they prepared and served meals.
Speaking of teaching them to sew, in 2017, I had the opportunity to make a short visit to the Imvepi refugee settlement with ChildVoice. It was heartbreaking and left me with the feeling of, but what can I do? Just 6 months later, a friend I'd met on that trip asked me to return to Imvepi with her, where she would be teaching young refugee women about feminine hygiene as well as how to sew their own pad kits. It was a powerful experience, knowing that I had been part of something that would make a real difference in these young women's lives.
That really sums up what ChildVoice does. Makes a real difference in the lives of war-affected girls that they serve. And that's why we wholeheartedly support them and hope that after learning more about them throughout this event, you will too.
Now, I'd like to introduce you to Jordan Hurl, who serves on ChildVoice's board of directors.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of ChildVoice's board and staff members, I'd just like to say we truly appreciate you taking some time to join us. As volunteers and staff, we give of our time because we believe so strongly in the mission to restore the voices of children silenced by war. 2020 certainly has been a year for the history books, and it has presented some challenges, but we are very excited to share with you exactly what God has been doing in the midst of it all. Again, thank you so much for coming. May God bless you.
Thanks, Jordan. After our first trip to Uganda, we became monthly donors in ChildVoice's Naomi Project, which pairs you with one of the students as a godparent. We've been writing back and forth with our godchild, Beatrice, for many years now, and have seen how she's been able to build a new life for herself and her children because of the counseling and training she received. Now I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine and longtime Naomi godparent and partner of ChildVoice, Jane Patton. After going to Uganda 10 times, she of all people knows how these young women's lives have been transformed. She has sat with, cooked with, built friendships with them and the ChildVoice staff over the years. Now, let's hear it from Jane.
I have had the joy and honor of traveling to Uganda and spending a lot of time with the girls who are students at the ChildVoice Lukome Center. These girls, they remind me of me when I was a teenager. They remind me of my daughters when they were teenagers. The only difference is that they, by nothing they deserved, were born in a war-torn country where they had limited access to education, to medical care, even to clean water. I became part of ChildVoice's godparenting program called the Naomi Project so that I could come alongside one of these girls and be part of her journey to restore her dignity and her hope for her future. Rose is my goddaughter through the Naomi Project, and through the skills she learned at the Lukome Center, she now owns her own salon. She's able to pay for school fees for her son, and she walks with her head held high. I give to ChildVoice because of these kinds of stories. They give real hope to adolescent girls. Rose also received counseling that has made a huge difference in her outlook from her past trauma. She was reminded that she's a child of God. She's not who the world says she is. Through my experiences with the young women who are part of the program at the ChildVoice Lukome Center, my life has been changed beyond measure, for the better, for sure. I feel it's been such a privilege, and I give to ChildVoice because I've been able to see firsthand the impact they have on young girls in Uganda.
Thanks for sharing, Jane. Now I want to introduce you to Jonathan Fambro and Susie Beck, the creators of tonight's film. They have a long history of unscripted storytelling on film. As founders of Wild Free Studios, they have a diverse portfolio of involvement in television shows such as Master Chef, The Amazing Race, and Street Food, as well as advertising campaigns for such clients as Google, Amazon, and Coca-Cola. They also lead Here Is Why, a nonprofit group that develops storytelling films which support activists and social change makers around the world. They have a character-driven, documentary style of work directing and producing films for nonprofits and NGOs in dozens of countries. Their aim is to eliminate barriers and celebrate the voices of those often underrepresented. Let's give a warm welcome to our filmmakers.
Hello, everyone. We have been so honored this past year to work with the amazing team at ChildVoice to create this video for them.
Here Is Why is a nonprofit that we started with the goal of really shining a light on under-recognized nonprofits and individuals around the world that are working for social change on behalf of those that are marginalized.
We have been so honored to have the chance to work with an incredible organization like ChildVoice over this last year. And from the beginning, when we first started working with Conrad and then Kristen, we've just felt really well supported by the team.
One of the values that we have when we go out around the world to make short films like this is to really try to let the stories be told authentically in the voices of those that are experiencing ChildVoice's services firsthand. And in this film, you're going to meet several different characters, the primary one being Gladys.
We had so much fun filming with Gladys and her son, Emmanuel. She just has the biggest, most boisterous laugh, and she just was very open to the entire filmmaking process and us, kind of explaining little by little why we needed her to do it one more time and how we could do it again. And would wake up, before the sun came up every day to get us to the place that we wanted to shoot the sunrise, and then would just work with us all day long in building the scenes that we wanted to shoot and doing the interviews. And we just have been so thankful with the local team and what they did for us on the ground. Gladys and Mary Sunday were not only subjects of our film, but they also joined in and they really helped us as our crew. They insisted on carrying our gear. They told us that they would say, "Give that to me, I will put it on my head."
We instantly felt shame for how little we were able to carry in comparison. You mentioned that they were amazing crew members, but they also became friends of ours on this project. We spent a lot of hours in vehicles bouncing down Ugandan dirt roads together.
She is such a strong woman with so much poise and so much grace, and you can just see it in her face and in her eyes. And we can't help but just feel really proud of how far she's come, thanks to the wonderful work at ChildVoice.
As you watch the film, just keep in mind that in the same way that these women have opened up to share their lives, we really hope that you will join us in sharing their story. This film is only going to be as effective as those of us that get out and use it and share it and show our families and friends and churches. Will you join us and get out the good work of ChildVoice to your community and to your circle? Thank you so much tonight for just being a part of this.
We hope you enjoy the film.
Yeah.
Try to imagine that you're a teenage girl. You've just given birth to your first child because you have been exploited, attacked, and raped. All of a sudden, there's gunshots. People are running. You're seeing people die right in front of you. The war breaks out right in your community. Your only option is to run away. So you grab the little that you can and you start running. Keep walking and you keep walking, hoping to find food, hoping to find water, and you're not even sure if you know the way. After walking for days and days, try to imagine you finally get to a place of safety, stumbling into a new country, a new place. You walk into this refugee settlement. You're given some food and some water, and you're handed some poles and some tarps, and you're told to build your new home.
My name is Gladys. I'm from South Sudan. My child's name is Emmanuel. He's very stubborn and I love him.
Gladys' story is just like any one of the millions of refugees that are coming into Uganda.
Relief is absolutely critical in emergency situations, to be able to provide the basic supports that people need to survive and to move on.
But now these people have to rebuild their lives. This is where ChildVoice comes in.
ChildVoice is committed to providing opportunity and hope for children affected by war.
We're focused on children because there's a real lack of resources available for these children, especially adolescent girls. Imvepi refugee settlement is one of the largest and most needy resettlement areas in northern Uganda. This is where we first met Gladys, at one of our girl empowerment centers. We noticed that she was someone who really needed more support.
Community-based programs becomes a safe space where kids can come, belong to a group that's bigger than themselves, a place where they can do their homework, have after-school activities, and get the counseling that they need.
Our community-based programs allow us to identify the most vulnerable and traumatized girls. And we invite them to come to our Lukome center in Gulu, very similar to a boarding school, where they can get more intensive and specialized care.
Upon arrival, Gladys was a very quiet girl. She couldn't express herself. She was always looking fearful.
Girls that have lived through incredible trauma and circumstances related to war and conflict find themselves highly vulnerable, void of any hope at all.
The trauma counseling is incredibly important because it's really difficult to move on until that trauma is dealt with. Learning how to forgive others and forgive yourself is key.
Are you okay? That's good. Tell me how you feel and what other things that you have in. The environment of Lukome Center is really safe for these girls. They're living as one family. They'll develop that trust so that she is able to let go of her past.
We as ChildVoice believe so much in the possibilities of what these girls can do. We are building into them and empowering them so that they can take control of their lives. Part of our goal is get people off of humanitarian aid, to break the cycle of dependency. We're working with war-affected children who had educations that were completely disrupted. Trying to go back to school is virtually impossible for them. We are offering them something that is really much more realistic. The vocational training that we provide is all based around what's going to help these girls the most in terms of getting jobs or starting their own businesses. We offer driving and auto mechanics, knitting, they can make school uniforms. We offer hair salon, catering, which trains girls in food service and cooking, along with business classes and business training.
And I'm Costa Catering, ChildVoice.
A ChildVoice is waking up these girls so that they achieve a better future.
Graduation day is one of the most exciting days at the Lukome Center. We get to see these girls walk up and accept this graduation certificate that signifies the last 2 years of incredible hard work.
I have seen girls joining ChildVoice with nothing from abject poverty. After 2 years, when they graduate from us, I have seen a very big change in these girls.
Kan bedir dana indu lahina na maindu jalbi ChildVoice inde. Ana besi indu suya an tarakabal fi bet an kan marif rakabu.
After she graduated, it's been really beautiful to see Gladys thriving back at home.
Gladys is putting what she has learned from ChildVoice into use. She has set up a restaurant with some friends of hers from Imvepi.
Running a business and taking care of herself, her child, and her family.
When one of our girls becomes self-reliant, she can feed herself, she can pay school fees, she can do many things.
Over 82% of our girls, when they go home, are now living successfully, providing livelihood, have their children in school. We follow these girls who've been to the Lukome Center for 3 years, and we still have relationships with the very first class.
When you look at the girls who have graduated from us, we are seeing that they are changing the world, they are changing their communities.
Because ChildVoice, it has given me more knowledge. I have learned many skills, and then I can now able to help myself. It's ChildVoice have changed my life.
I am so proud of Gladys. To see where she came from and where she is now, it's mind-blowing.
Uganda is not the only place where conflict was tearing the lives apart of adolescent girls.
We are working in northern Uganda with the post-war communities there. We're also working in northeast Nigeria with victims of the Boko Haram insurgency.
The future of communities and countries in these conflict areas really lies in the hands of the adolescent girls that will become the next generation. If we don't invest in them, we stand the risk of not being able to see change happen, nation building happen, communities restored.
There are dozens of active conflict zones all around the world. Our vision is to be present in every single one of them, bringing restoration and hope to all communities affected by war.
God gave us an opportunity to touch a life, that's what Child Voice is.
Wow, that was so moving. I loved hearing Gladys share her personal journey with us.
I know, and she learned vocational skills to support herself and Emmanuel. She has truly found hope for a better future through Child Voice. What an amazing transformation.
But what's also amazing is that Child Voice's work is funded by private donations.
That's right. Child Voice is funded by individuals who care about the lives of young people who've been traumatized and marginalized by war and conflict. And that's why it's so important for people like you who are watching to invest in their futures. The work Child Voice does cannot go on without donor support. Our goal is to raise $25,000 tonight. So every dollar you give will count towards that goal.
Absolutely. And by the way, Child Voice has recently been given a 100% rating through Charity Navigator, the nation's largest and most utilized evaluator of charities. Their ratings reflect their evaluations of charity organizations' financial health as well as their accountability and transparency. This ensures that you can be confident that your donations are being used wisely and to the fullest extent possible.
In order to make a donation, it's really simple. Just go to your event leader's page or simply text the unique code given to you by your event leader. We want to make sure that they get credit for your donation. So text Gladys with a space and then their code to the number 50155. The codes might just be their initials. It might also involve a number, so pay close attention.
And don't worry if you're not here watching with a specific event leader. You can give the same way by texting Gladys to 50155. If you'd prefer to donate online, you can go to childvoice.org/no-longer-silent-2020 and donate there.
Your donation will help Child Voice continue providing these life-changing programs. We need your help to reach our goal. Now we're going to hear from Child Voice's Director of Programs, Kristen Barlow.
Kristen works directly with Child Voice's overseas staff and has the latest update about how the pandemic has affected their programs.
Thank you, Dan and Chris. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here today. So I want to give you just a short update of what's been happening on the ground so far. Back in the spring, this world drastically changed, and it made a huge impact for the communities that we work in. Both Uganda and Nigeria, South Sudan, these are communities where so many people live on the edge, they live in the margins. And when the global pandemic hit, so many things changed. Most of these countries went into a really strict lockdown. Businesses were shut down, transportation was almost eliminated, schools and churches shut down, and the impact meant that so many people just lost their jobs and lost their income. And for the majority of people in these communities, they rely on money that comes in on a day-to-day basis, on these small businesses that they have. And once they were shut down, they had no source of income, and many people don't have much of a cushion. So after a few weeks or a month of not getting any money, their resources quickly dried up, and so many people were literally faced with a real issue of starvation. So as Child Voice, one thing that did change was we did have to temporarily shut down the Lukome Center and send our students to their homes. Fortunately, we were able to stay in regular communication and contact with these students and our graduates and do our best to help them through this very difficult time. So we focused a lot on doing just basic food relief and hygiene support, basic things that so many people didn't even have. After a few months, we were able to open up our programs in the refugee and IDP camps, thankfully, and continue on with some of that programming, just looking a little bit different with social distance regulations. This was really, really important and impactful, being able to stay in communication and contact with these beneficiaries and help them walk through this crisis. Fortunately, we were just able to reopen our Lukome Center as well and bring back those students to that program. And our counselors have been working really hard to help them through many of the traumas that they experienced during that time of lockdown. Uganda, Nigeria, many other countries, just like the United States, cases of domestic violence really just went through the roof during this time. So our counselors are focused on dealing with those types of traumas that many of our beneficiaries went through. But we are really glad that most of our programs are opened again. We are focusing on other things as well, like agriculture and food sustainability, things that are really going to benefit and empower these young women during this time. We thank you so much for joining us here today, and what you are doing really is making an impact. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that update with us, Kristen. The pandemic has created such hardship for people living in war-torn countries. I'm so glad ChildVoice staff were able to step in and deliver emergency food rations to the girls in their program.
And the Lukome Center has reopened. That's great news.
It sure is, but ChildVoice can't bring hope to war-affected girls without committed monthly donors. I want to introduce you to two such people who support ChildVoice through their monthly giving platform, the Amplified program. Patience Luth serves on their board, and Larry Lindell is a photographer who has volunteered on multiple occasions to take pictures of their work in Uganda and Nigeria. They both want to share with us why they have chosen to partner with ChildVoice. We'll hear first from Patience and then from Larry.
Hello, my name is Patience Luth, and I am honored to be talking about an organization that is really dear to my heart, and namely ChildVoice. And one of the reasons why this organization means a lot to me is because of the region that they have been reaching out to, namely northern Uganda, and they're based also in Nigeria and have been in southern Sudan before, but northern Uganda is a place that I call home. I'm so thankful that they are accomplishing the goals that they are accomplishing in really helping women, young women and girls emotionally, who have experienced emotional trauma, physical trauma, and have a lack of resources, and are really raising them up to begin to sustain themselves and their families in various ways. So that's a reason why I am really thankful for ChildVoice. Another thing that has impressed me, and this has to do with the way they are helping educate women to sustain themselves, is that they have created programs. Their curriculum is diverse in the various vocations that the women can pick, and has shown a high rate of, I'd say, retention in terms of the women being able to sustain themselves. There's also a mentoring program that the women are participate in when they graduate. So all these programs are, I don't know, just really helpful, you know, for the young women and the girls. So one last thing is that the staff who are on site are from that region, meaning that they may have also experienced some of the traumas that the young women and girls have experienced, and so they are better able to cater the programs and give counseling and so on based off of knowledge. And so that's really amazing to me. And so ChildVoice is an organization that is innovative in their organizational strategy. They are very sensitive to the needs of the regions culturally. And I'm just really proud to be not only a supporter, but also on the board of ChildVoice.
Hello. I've been working with ChildVoice now for about 7 years, and what I've been impressed with the organization is their commitment to the individual and their personal recovery. My first trip there was in 2013, and I went with a small mission group from our church. Our intent in going was to see what support we could provide to the girls who were being ministered to there. What I found and what I saw at their center was that they were ministering to a small group of about 18 girls, and all of these girls were child mothers and had been affected some way in the war that had been going on in Uganda. I heard stories of some of the unimaginable physical and emotional trauma that these girls had gone through. And it helped me understand that recovering from this kind of trauma was going to be slow and it's going to take a lot of individual attention. And it appears that when ChildVoice set this up, they had a clear understanding of that. This was not going to be a 30-day program. What they set up was an 18-month residential program. And each of these girls would get individual counseling and individual training in getting through the trauma that they've been through, as well as teaching them some skills that they could use in supporting themselves and their family back in the community. I've been there now about 6 times, and every time I go with the intent that maybe I can provide a little help of some sort. However, each time I come back, I think that I've been changed more than any change that I could have delivered. When you see what these girls are going through and the love and attention that ChildVoice gives them in helping through the recovery, it affects me in a way that says I need to be involved somehow as well, so I keep going back. I wholeheartedly support ChildVoice and their mission, and I encourage anyone to support them in ways they can, and if possible, making a trip there and experiencing the work that they do would be life-changing for you as well. Thank you.
It's so important to get these unique viewpoints on what ChildVoice is doing.
I love what Larry said about how traveling and spending time at ChildVoice has changed his life for the better. I know it's changed ours.
And the endorsement of ChildVoice's methods from patients really carries weight. Being Ugandan, she truly understands the deep needs in that region.
It seems like such a no-brainer to support the work ChildVoice is doing. To hear stories like Gladys's, you understand how much adolescent girls especially need this kind of restoration and rehabilitation after all that they've been through. These programs have the power to change lives, to literally restore voices and futures. Not only is ChildVoice dedicated to walking with these young people through the process of healing and restoration, but they work diligently to teach them and train them with specific vocational skills so they can go on to be financially independent, responsible community members and powerful leaders.
You're so right, Chris. But like we've been saying, these programs cost money. Won't you help us hit that $25,000 mark tonight to keep their programs running in Uganda and Nigeria? Together, we can make a difference.
As we heard, the global pandemic has created additional problems like hunger and lack of medical care, making it even more challenging for these remarkable adolescent girls who are working so hard to build new lives. Let's support their efforts.
Yes. So folks, we know it's been a challenging year for all of us, but if you have the means, text Gladys to 50155. That's the number at the bottom of your screen. Or go to your event leader's donation page or the link in your email. Donate now to help ChildVoice continue providing these life-changing programs. Even better, join Larry, Patience, Jane, Chris, and me and partner with them through one of their monthly giving programs. You can sign up when you donate.
Now, let's hear a special message from Gladys and Emmanuel in Uganda. Then we'll hear from ChildVoice's president and CEO, Conrad Monsager.
Hello from Uganda. This is Gladys and Emmanuel. Thank you for your gift today. Your gift has changed my life and so many others who attended the program of ChildVoice. May God bless you all.
Thank you for joining us in this unique event. Because of you, Gladys and others like her have a second chance at life and hope for the future. On behalf of the whole ChildVoice team, we appreciate your support.
That brings us to the end of our presentation. We hope you enjoyed yourselves, especially the premiere of No Longer Silent, Gladys's Journey.
Oh, and if you'd like to watch this presentation again or share it with friends, all you have to do is go to childvoice.org/NoLongerSilent2020 in 24 hours, and we will have it posted there.
Thank you so much for joining us.
God bless and keep you all. Thanks, and have a wonderful evening.